Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Transformers? Ah, yes. This is the Can We Talk About podcast, and we are hitting the end of the old dusty trail. Most people set out on the dusty trail. We are hitting the end of it as it happens, packing it in as we finish off a season. A short season.
A little tiny guy.
A season that only had about 2 more episodes podcast-wise than Season 3 of Gem, which was already pretty short.
You're just making me nervous now.
A season that is, Kristen, 1/3 the length of Season 2, thereabouts.
Ah, yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
Clearly not the end of a big journey at all. This journey is in reference to that series of Might and Metal, actual 80s cartoon classic, The Transformers. My weakness is my honor. My name is Joe.
I was simply raising a legal point. I'm Kristen.
And we are watching Transformers Generation 1 via Tubi, which is a free streaming platform with intermittent commercials. And Kristen, have you been watching anything cool on the various streaming platforms that we got out there?
Joe, Riverdale is on Netflix.
Oh, isn't that the Archie Comics thing?
It's Murder Glee with Archie characters in name only, really.
Kristen, why the fuck are they murdering each other?
No, their Archie characters are not murdering each other. They're serial killers who are out to kill Archie and his friends. And Archie is like a weird fascist cop who sings.
Alright, so here I was expecting Jughead with a chainsaw, but clearly not the case.
No, Jughead wears a cool gang jacket and drives a motorcycle and is a social justice warrior.
What the fuck?
In like a fun way. The problem is I have 2 friends mainly who on Twitter, every single time I tweet about Riverdale, they engage with me, and that makes me want to keep watching it because they're like, yes, isn't it terrible? It's like the TV show equivalent of just shoveling handfuls of like flavorless popcorn into your mouth over and over and over again. I've been enjoying myself a lot.
I mean, I've done that. I've watched stuff where it's just like, I don't necessarily like this, but I want to keep watching it.
Joe, Betty and Jughead are Bughead.
Oh.
They're a couple and they're called Bughead.
Oh. Don't make me want to throw up on this podcast, Kristen.
Joe, guess what else?
No, don't tell me
Varchie.
more. I'm going to talk about my thing now so we can stop talking about Riverdale. So I've been doing, Kristen, rather than talking about streaming here, I decided to download myself a book. I actually was reading a book.
Joe, has it been so long since you've read anything that you don't know how to say book anymore?
A children's book. No, it's a normal book about the history of the arcade game NBA Jam.
That sounds pretty cool.
I like it. It has a lot of names that I recognize from my arcade knowledge that I've had previously and things like that. You know me, a big fan of things like Midway Arcade Treasures and, of course, NBA Jam, a Midway game that they couldn't put on there because it's got a license and all the people in the game that they can't own the likenesses for anymore, probably. So, you know.
The world of sports video games seems complicated.
When you're dealing with real people and real things, it gets very complicated. So, Kristen, this week we have an introduction of 6 new characters, but they actually all just kind of very quickly take a back seat so Optimus and Megatron can fight at the flagpole after school.
Whoa! When have they ever done that before?
For the last time forever and ever, amen. Potentially, we could have Optimus and Megatron fighting each other, which, understandably, since this is the last episode of the first season, if Transformers...
The end of the season, Joe, we're done after this.
If it wasn't a gigantic smash hit... Well, I was going to say reruns, but things that didn't take off, like Visionaries or whatever, probably...
Do you think the writers were like, aw, dip! Our toys were too good!
We better not kill all the Decepticons in lava, so let's just write one line in there just in case.
Just draw a close-up shot on Megatron at the end. Doing his usual Megatron thing, we'll talk about it.
Heavy Metal War, Kristen, is what we are doing, and it's time to go to war!
Meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, the Transformers. Robots in disguise. The Transformers. More than meets the eye. The Transformers.
Heavy Metal War. Written by Donald F. Glut, meaning Kristen. This episode has officially been rebranded SOS, Big Fat Cheater.
I feel like I need to start paying more attention, so when I see Donald F. Glut, I can know in advance, yes, Dinobots are going to happen this episode.
Donald F. Glut loves himself some Dinobots, and quite frankly, I was surprised. I watched this episode fairly recently, and when they showed up, I was like, oh yeah, the Dinobots are here, nice!
I had a little bit of continual identification issues again this episode. We'll talk about them as they come up, but the Dinobots did not go unscathed.
Ooh, I cannot wait. So, we've got here, Kristen, post-apocalyptic Earth. Oh wait, that's just Utah, Washington.
It looks more and more desolate every day, don't it?
The Ultimate Doom was 3 or 4 episodes ago. Everybody's still rebuilding, Kristen.
Mm-hmm. We see a bunch of hard hat men who apparently have transcended simply rebuilding society and have their eyes on a much bigger prize.
They're building here, Kristen, something with energy disks that will tap into the power of the Earth's magnetic field.
You know what they're doing, Joe? They're building that apparatus I talked about where they could just make the repair bay. Just repair Earth. That's what they're doing.
The big repair bay around Earth, the thing that Tony Stark wanted to do in one of the Avengers movies, just a big old core thing around the Earth.
I'll have to take your word for it, Joe. I don't watch that nerd shit.
So, Kristen, I thought the Decepticons would be all over this for the unlimited energy aspect, and they are all over this, but just to steal some pieces of it.
It's like Soundwave only heard like half of the conversation about it when he was doing his, no doubt, reconnaissance.
I mean, it seems like Scrapper is the brainchild of all of this, because he's the one that builds the machine, and Scrapper's got himself a posse.
I think you mean the brain daddy, Joe. The brainchild is the accumulation of the plan.
He's the brain daddy of this situation, and the brain daddy of the Constructicons, as it were. 6 puke green construction vehicles that are rolling up on the scene here.
My Crayola name for that color is Pizzazz Green, but you can say whatever you want.
And the main hard hat man here, the hard hat foreman, if you will, is just like, hey, wait a minute, I didn't order a bunch of pizzazz-colored construction vehicles.
They have some pretty cool clown outfits on. Oh wait, no, hang on. There's no one in those.
Nobody's driving them, to which Scrapper, I assume it's Scrapper. I have a bit of a problem telling the Constructicons apart, Kristen, which means that we're on equal ground finally, but...
We will never be on equal ground. Considering you basically at least know the names of them, and once again, as we proved last week, these names will not stay in my head, Joe.
No. At least Scrapper's I'm just going to assume that whenever they're talking, it's going to be Scrapper. He goes, "We are the Constructicons! We drive ourselves!"
So they just kind of start raising hell, dismantling shit, putting some good energy disk scraps in their dump truck bellies.
Yeah, we've got Long Haul here who is carrying all of the various pieces, and the guys on site, the hard hat men, are trying their damnedest to stop this from happening. They're like kamikaze construction vehicles into the Constructicons.
Yeah, things aren't going great. There's a lot of death and destruction, fashion and flame here.
When the Constructicons all transform to intimidate the hard hat foreman, Long Haul, who had everything in his truck bed, just doesn't, it's just not there anymore, but he has it later, so whatever.
Joe? It's in his tummy.
Foolish man of flesh, we work for Megatron!
Man of flesh.
Man of flesh, like Man of Steel, except normal.
Yeah, so I guess we're all really men of flesh, aren't we?
And they all raise their arms up, and the Superman theme starts playing, and Man of Steel plays in the background, and...
Oh no. Joe is gonna start humming the Superman theme, but I don't think I know it.
Ooh, oh shit, oh no.
I'm getting the Rocky theme only.
No, I was going straight for the Star Trek theme.
I feel less embarrassed now, at least. Let's just move on.
And as they're leaving, Kristen, the hard hat foreman kind of puts his hand on his shin and goes, those were Decepticons, weren't they?
Whoa! Slow down there, Sherlock. Leave some clues for the rest of us.
Astute observation if there ever was one.
So I do have a question.
Yes.
They were working on something pretty important there, concerning energy.
Yes.
You know who loves that kind of shit? The Decepticons.
You don't say.
I'm just saying, would it have killed them to have, like, a guy with binoculars checking out the perimeter with his, like, hand on the dial to talk to our favorite Mr. Spark Hardhat?
Kristen, I would say that they should have had Autobots there to watch for this, but as we find through the episode, and in the very next scene here, pretty much, the Autobots are really bad at pointing out Decepticons.
Joe, the Autobots also, I think, probably have maybe helped humans once, ever?
Yeah, a lot of the confrontations between Autobots and Decepticons are out of the public eye, so maybe they just don't know.
I mean, like, done anything besides spare their lives? Because, like, that whole oil tanker exploded, and that ended up pretty good for Sparkplug, because he got the money from that. But then it's like, all those people at, like, the Maharaja's palace, all they did was make sure they didn't die. Like, that palace got wrecked.
Unfortunately, Kristen, the Autobots are not builders. They are saviors, I guess.
They need to work on it a little bit.
We get our transition here, and we are back with the other Decepticons. Megatron gives us a little exposition here, Kristen, that one, they are in a temporary base.
Why?
Because they didn't want to show them underwater, I guess?
Were they worried kids would ask, but how did the Constructicons get into the underwater base?
I think they should be asking how were the Constructicons built, which Megatron only gives the first of, I believe, 3 conflicting origin stories within this cartoon for the Constructicons, which is, we built them in some caves.
So, okay, this has some lore implications to whatever the fuck Wheeljack has been up to.
It begs the question, Kristen. Wheeljack can make the Dinobots smart if he wanted to, I guess.
No, Joe, he can't. We've been over this. It's about authenticity. Ayy.
Let's make them dumb and violent on purpose.
And they're adorable and we love them.
So Kristen, Scrapper does a roll call of all of the Constructicons here, and if you please, if you're not already looking at my notes, can you name them?
I'm not. So Scrapper, hey, that's numero uno there.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's still Mixmaster.
Correct.
Long Haul.
Correct.
Bulldozer Man.
There is a bulldozer.
Scavenger.
The scavenger is the bucket one, I guess. So I don't know how to explain. I had this problem to you with Scrapper's alternate mode where I didn't really know how to explain it because it's not a bulldozer and it's not like a backhoe or a bucket thing like Scavenger is.
Joe, I'm starting to think you didn't watch enough, children's VHS tapes about construction vehicles when you were a child.
Not enough lots and lots of trains.
Exactly. Lots and lots of construction vehicles. That existed, right?
I think it's like a loader, a front loader, something like that is what Scrapper is. You got 2 more, by the way.
What vehicles am I missing?
The crane.
Pick-em-ups. Got that one. What's the other one?
You said Bulldozer Man, but you gotta get his name.
Shitdover.
Shitdover, gotcha. Hook and Bone Crusher.
I never would have gotten those, so it's fine.
Long Haul transforms here, and suddenly that thing that happened in the Ultimate Doom Part 3 where Rhino very clearly... So, Kristen, we're going to be talking about animation errors a lot, actually.
This episode was some horseshit.
Was in pretty rough shape. The same thing happens where they superimposed the shit into Long Haul's trunk in his dumper, whatever the fuck that is. We get another animation error here where... Clearly they're missing animation. Just Megatron orders them to put this stuff all together on this machine that's already being built, and there's just a long shot of both Megatron and Starscream looking at nothing as there is working...
I like to think, Joe, that this was on purpose. Because Starscream's back. Your boy Starscream, he's back. Maybe things are a little awkward.
They had to hold for the woo and all the applause as Larry David got increasingly angry off screen.
You've already made that reference. Stop it. They're all working together again. Things are a little awkward. Sometimes you just don't know what to say to a guy that tried to blow you up multiple times.
You know, Megatron can't find the words sometimes, and that's just how it goes, so...
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's gonna need to save some of those words for when Starscream does it again and again and again.
Which might beg the question why Megatron says here something that he said a million billion times before, where Scrapper's new big invention here is going to let him crush the Autobots once... Get this, Kristen!
What?
Megatron's gonna crush the Autobots once and for all.
Yo, me and Sassmaster Starscream were on the same page. He's like, I've heard that before. But okay.
Colored like Skywarp as he does, of course.
This is my favorite part. Ever since I have learned who all the Jets are, watching just 2 Skywarps talking to each other, hanging out behind a Megatron, it always is just so delightful.
Megatron absolves himself of all previous failures that Starscream brings up.
It wasn't my fault.
Not my fault. And quickly moves on here to Optimus Prime's fatal weakness, Kristen, his sense of honor.
There's a lot of that this episode.
Here at the Ark, Kristen, the Autobots are hanging out.
It's gold again.
It is gold again, no longer silver. Huffer and Gears spent all that time painting it silver, and then Prowl is walking up just like, it sticks out like a sore thumb, what the fuck?
They should have asked for permission first. It's their own fault.
Ironhide's getting some weird Decepticon signals on his boob window, and they walk
out. His bra
out.
starts to light up.
And they walk outside to investigate, where we get, unfortunately, we don't have a long waiting shot for the return of Chip Chase, who was also here this episode.
Joe, if they put so much effort into making Skyfire run into every single room going, "Hi, it's me, Skyfire, this is my deal," why can't Chip Chase just once be like, "Hey, it's me, Chip Chase, I'm the smart one"?
I mean, he does access Teletran. Well, he says he accesses Teletran 1 at some point in this episode.
And you know what, Joe? I believe him.
So basically they're out here because Ironhide is getting a Decepticon signal, and Spike just happens to be the first person to notice. Apparently, from the Autobots just don't notice a big fucking flying hunk of gray metal coming over the horizon.
They need Spike's special human eyes to see things for them.
So Bumblebee jumps into action here and uses Cliffjumper's glass gas. Wait a minute, Kristen, it's just Cliffjumper.
Hey, Joe, I didn't notice. This is fun, though, because Megatron is doing, some aerial tricks here, and that includes the fact that getting hit with glass gas doesn't seem to stop him from flying at all.
No, he's just kind of floating in a big old orb until he breaks out of it. Wheeljack comes in. It's time, Kristen. Time to use the shock blast cannon, my big new invention. And it blows up.
This happened so fast that I feel like I missed it the first time. I probably could have mentioned this at the beginning, but when I was watching this episode, there was periodic vacuuming going on in my apartment, and I thought to myself, you know what, this might be the best way to watch an episode of Transformers. Let's see how it goes. And I really don't feel like I missed anything.
So there very easily could have been, in your mind, Kristen, a missing laser animation or something that could have knocked Wheeljack aside rather than his own cannon blowing up in his face.
But here's the thing, I do appreciate the gag, because they tried to make it a whole thing where it's like, oh, does Wheeljack's stuff really work? Boo, we're not sure. He's not God or anything.
It's nice that they're being consistent about it when so many other Autobots don't have consistent powers.
I like Wheeljack, so more him, I'm fine. I don't care how weird and out of place it is.
Also, I'm glad that he wasn't standing near any of the other Autobots unless they just naturally walk away from him when he shows up with something.
They have a Wheeljack perimeter.
Optimus finally steps in here and is asking why Megatron's just
Hey! Fight me, why don't you?
And Megatron, he came on business, Kristen. Matters of Cybertron law, as it happens.
We've never heard this before. Let's see what he has to say.
Megatron, there's no animation of Megatron landing here. Rhino just doesn't have it. They decide instead to show the same shot of Cliffjumper from before, followed by animation of Megatron landing from a completely different episode, and finally it's just like, aha, I'm here.
That's fine, I didn't notice.
There's also missing dialogue that was cut from the episode, where basically what Megatron says, if you listen to it, where he starts talking about ancient Cybertron or whatever, and ending it with, you and I need to fight Optimus Prime.
Are you talking about how he speaks in about 6 consecutive fragments of sentences?
Essentially, yes. There was an entire exchange cut between there before they could lead up to Cybertron law dictates that you and I can fight each other, and the loser needs to exile themselves to deep space.
I like to think he just forgot what he was going to say on his way over and was just stumbling a little bit.
So Cliffjumper is the only smart person here, Kristen, as he just kind of, moves in closer and is like, I don't trust Megatron to not cheat in this battle.
Cybertronian law, once again, blah, 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 whatever. Does beg the question, to me at least, if there was a way that you could do as, some of the other Autobots are excited about this, hey, if we could just do a one-on-one fight that will end the war, we think you can beat Megatron, that would be great. Why didn't Optimus suggest this earlier?
It's a fool's errand, Kristen. Maybe he expects Megatron to cheat unless Megatron is the one issuing the challenge. I don't know.
In which case, you can trust that guy to play clean.
And Optimus has weird sparkly anime eyes as he's just like, it is the law of the planet.
Diamond tears.
I agree to your terms, Megatron.
Megatron's like, nice! And then he just pieces out. So, we see a bunch of the Decepticons. There is some kind of horrible, ungodly brain Frankenstein experiment going on. I don't really know how to describe it.
Brainkenstein, thank you.
There you go. Yeah, you haven't had a chance to do that in a while.
There is a reflector hanging out here, too, so even he gets to get in on the... I mean, we do see...
I see 3 of them later.
This is Scrapper's machine. Megatron is standing inside a big old cylinder.
Wow.
The strength transferer.
So this is like a weird little sauna?
From what I could... that's a decent way to put it. A robot sauna where Megatron can just soak in the powers of all of his fellow Decepticons.
And you know, the really shitty thing is, because Megatron forgot to take off his clothes, when he gets out, his monopad's gonna be broken. And then you'll know that he's the murderer.
Oh, Danganronpa, of course.
It's been on my brain lately.
Essentially, Kristen, each of the Decepticons put a power chip into a melting pot.
Or do they?
There's a lot of spacing issues in this scene, I'll say.
Yeah, I guess this episode, a lot of the visual issues are just so fucked up that I don't know how in-depth we need to describe them without it just sounding dry at a point. Starscream has an argument here.
He explains, again, exposition for the audience here. Megatron, in this battle, you're supposed to go with your own merits here. You can't, enhance yourself.
Makes sense.
In any way. Do you realize that's cheating? You wouldn't want to cheat, would you, Megatron?
Whoa! Wow! Look at the scientist lawyer Starscream over here. Do I want to would I cheat? Oh my god! Yes, I would fucking cheat.
Pot calling the kettle black over here.
I feel like Starscream's just kind of being a little shit, bringing up his cool Cybertronian bird law knowledge.
To which Megatron notices this immediately and shuts him down, as to which Starscream's like, hey, I'm just citing legal precedent. Whatever.
Megatron says that he will win by any means necessary, even if he has to terminate Starscream. That sounds like an additional threat, but what I think is it's just like his default caveat for everything he does on his to-do list for the day.
Yes, I will attend this scrapbooking seminar, even if it means terminating Starscream.
I will pick up the groceries, even if it means terminating Starscream.
Starscream then... He gets it. He pulls away his cockpit area here to pull out a piece of invisible missing animation and putting it in a thing.
It goes by very fast. He just pops himself open, takes out nothing, and then they all start to put their little tiny pinches of nothing into a void of nothing. It looks great.
And very over-explaining here, Megatron, once again, like 3 separate times here. Okay, once you put all the chips in there, I'll get your powers. And then once the machine turns on, yes, I am feeling all of your powers. And then when it's all done, he goes, I got all your powers.
Hey, I was able to understand what was happening by the end of it. And then Megatron gets another big laugh.
Optimus Prime and the Autobots are finished! To end segment 1. Segment 2 starts here, Kristen. Megatron again reminding look, let's get everybody back up to speed. Decepticons, powers, mine, one-on-one with Optimus, exile into deep space, etc.
So Starscream's like, whoa. So here's the other thing. That dang computer that they got over there, Teletran 1, somehow, I know, it'll know if you're cheating.
They'll know if he's liar, pants on fire.
I mean, he always is.
Megatron has a plan to deal with Teletran 1, which...
There's a script in Teletran that just automatically checks, is Megatron cheating? And there's only one branch, and it's yes.
20 go to 10, yes.
Exactly.
Megatron has a plan to deal with Teletran here, Kristen, which does not exactly... Like, even if he was successful, the Autobots would get back to the base before the Constructicons even did anything to Teletran.
Well, here's the other thing I love. You know, it's not suspicious at all. You go to have a fight, you lose a fight, you get back, and your computer that would have realized if anyone was cheating in that fight is suddenly broken? Do they figure that, like, Optimus would just be like, well, I mean, he cheated fair and square.
Now, Kristen, the Dinobots were there, so could it have been that immediately Optimus is going to be like, Grimlock, did you break Teletran again?
You know what, he would, that bastard.
And Grimlock, being a dumbass, would be like, Grimlock, don't remember?
Me, Grimlock, smash lots of things. Expect Grimlock to remember all of them.
Kristen, here I was, poo-pooing this plan, but it was the best plan ever, actually.
You're right.
We get a transition here, back to the Ark. Spike is concerned, Kristen, because Megatron... He's a tricky guy, and there are a few, like, meta moments in this episode, and I consider this one of them where Spike goes, they don't call those creeps Decepticons for no reason.
I mean, have we talked about this before, how they named themselves Decepticons?
That's, like, they themselves are saying that they are deceptive and suspicious, so...
We're big liar robots. Nice to meet you.
Naive-ass Optimus Prime here, Kristen... He believes that the rules will be adhered to. This is a fair battle. I am confident I can win that, and I can confirm that Teletran will let us know if Megatron is a liar, pants on fire.
It's really great for continuity that we don't have any proof that Megatron has ever lied to them before, because then that would seem stupid, wouldn't it?
Everyone transforms and rolls out here, except for Trailbreaker, who for some reason is shown transforming directly outside. Again, just more little missing pieces of anime, whatever.
There's so much else wrong with this episode.
The Autobots arrive at what looks like an impact crater mixed with a ravine.
Yeah, like they have in Utah.
Like they've got their own, like, gladiatorial impact crater that they fight in.
You call that a Utah oasis, Joe. A Utah hot spring.
Ironhide also then transforms from robot to van when he was already a van. Fuck it. Whatever. The Autobots are apparently blind because, again, second time this... Kristen, why are humans, like, supposed to naturally be more perceptive than Transformers? Because Chip has to be the one to go, oh, there are the Decepticons.
Maybe Chip has, like, 305 vision.
It's gotta be the glasses.
Of course. They're magnifying glasses.
Hail Optimus Prime, and welcome to defeat.
That sounds like it's the start of a show tune.
And stupid Optimus in response to this is like, we haven't started fighting yet? dude.
Megatron's like, I know. We'll wait for everyone to sit down, then we'll fight. I mean, Joe, I swear to God, when I was watching this the first time, I thought that line was purely because they were going to cut to the Constructicons doing their shit.
Nope.
Like, Teletran is working the entire time this fight is going on.
Like you're thinking that Megatron is stalling for time, waiting for the Constructicons to confirm that.
Yeah, 'cause I'm an asshole.
If only it worked like that, Kristen.
I'm just saying, again, no shade. I should have written this cartoon.
Optimus once again reiterates the rules to Megatron here, one-on-one, robot to robot, and
You got that, kids?
And Chip Chase, as they're sliding down a hill here in the hands of Ironhide, goes, doesn't this remind you of the gladiatorial combat in ancient Rome?
So I'm starting to warm up to Ironhide, because Ironhide says, yeah, that would if I knew what the fuck that was.
And Kristen, the best part of the episode happens here, where Soundwave releases Ravage and Laserbeak, and Ravage takes a seat next to Soundwave, and Soundwave pets him.
Wow, 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 wow. Pet your robot cat.
Megatron and Optimus shake hands to start this here, and then Megatron gets Optimus with a joy buzzer.
See, she's cheating already.
Sparks flying every which way, and then he tosses Optimus over his shoulder, at which point I think Optimus has fought Megatron enough times to be like, okay, why would Megatron hold back in all of our other fights? He's way too strong.
No, he's a dumbass, Joe. His reaction to this is, oh, got tossed, sits up. I didn't realize Megatron was so strong.
And we get here, Starscream providing commentary only to Skywarp as
Skywarp is just seething.
he mentions things like, Megatron, with my power chip, he can use my cluster bombs, as he's very clearly using Thundercracker's purple flamethrower.
I just tried not to think too hard about that.
And then Optimus fires a hand laser at one point.
Like anime.
Starscream's also like, oh, he can also use my null ray too. That's my thing. You know, that's...
I read on the Transformers wiki page for this episode that Megatron does some cool shouting out his attack names in the Japanese version of this.
That's what I want in Transformers. We get a very Japanese thing later that we will, of course, mention. We get Megatron just showing off the powers. Like, this is a great episode to showcase the powers of the Decepticons, except Megatron's the one using them.
I mean, again, we were talking about the psychology of marketing when it comes to children's toys. My brain just did a flash of, are they trying to give kids ideas for ways to play?
I mean, they could very easily just be like, and then Starscream has the teleportation power. Whip!
Because sometimes he looks like Skywarp, just like in the cartoon.
Megatron uses a bit of rumble action here, splitting the Earth in twain, and there's a nice little wordless shot of Rumble, the least annoying he's ever been, just turning to Soundwave and being like, yeah, that was mine, like wordlessly.
You shut your fucking mouth. I love Rumble.
Optimus picks up a giant goddamn rock, payback for Countdown to Extinction here, as he hoofs it at Megatron, and Kristen, we have one of the more egregious animation errors here.
Whatever.
He's very clearly teleporting away. There's the sound, there's like a synergy whip sound. His body...
The animators seem to think he was making himself a hologram.
Because he voips away, except he's still standing right there and the rock hits him directly.
He doesn't react, and then turn around behind Optimus. Oh my god, there is Megatron.
And Kristen, it's Skywarp's turn to gloat at this point after having to listen to Starscream nonstop, except when he talks about his teleportation, he's fucking colored like Starscream!
I love it.
Optimus takes a shot to the back here before we finally get a transition.
God, what a long fight.
And Kristen, the Constructicons are just tunneling under the fucking volcano at this point.
They were taking their sweet-ass time, aren't they? I guess, is that why they were at a temporary base this episode, to show that they actually had to go further than across the street to get to the Ark?
You think, like, on the way there, they would have been like, Megatron, wouldn't it have been easier if we sent the Constructicons from the underwater base?
He's not even listening. He's still laughing.
He's still whap-whap-wang.
Exactly. You can't hear complaints over a joyous noise like that.
Scrapper refers to Scavenger as Scrounge, which is just confusing, which is
I read a thing about that on the Transformers wiki, too.
Apparently that was his first name, like the name that they were going to call him.
One of the potential names, and then apparently was retconned into something that they call him to be mean sometimes.
Which, that's really what you want, Kristen. The people who all turn into a big giant robot who all hate each other.
Yeah, their hate powers them. That's why the 10-person Misfits supergroup worked so well.
Apparently they thought the volcano was dormant, too, because Scavenger...
Why did anyone think this?
Scavenger nearly drives into the lava and is like, ooh, wait a minute.
So, ignoring the fact that someone should have been aware that it erupted just mere episodes ago, they're hanging out with some lava.
And there's Kimber in the corner, all tied up.
They hear her say one thing, and they're like, no, you're staying right here.
Scavenger apparently also has the ability to pick up computer signals with his bucket.
Yeah, it's called Wi-Fi.
A Wi-Fi bucket.
Mm-hmm, so they're directly under Teletran 1. Joe, you seem to have a question.
Kristen, is there a reason Teletran hasn't, directly alerted Optimus already or anything like that?
See, I had a similar train of thought, but I guess mine put more of the onus on Optimus, which was, why did they have their fight too far for Teletran to tell if someone was cheating?
Why did they not leave someone behind who could contact Optimus to tell him, oh, Teletran says that Megatron's cheating?
I mean, they did leave some people behind. The Dinobots didn't get to go to the party. But they don't know how to use the computer.
That was the problem. Wheeljack left him at all right, you tell us if there's any kind of problem, if Teletran says anything, all right? Grimlock, look at me. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Look, over here. All right, whatever. We're good. We're good, Optimus. We're good.
Me, Grimlock, no understand cheat? Maybe Wheeljack mean cheese.
Ah, cheese.
That makes sense to everyone. The Dinobots big fans of cheese. They eat so much of Wheeljack's robot pasta and Italian cuisine.
You robot pasta.
I meant to just say, robot Italian cuisine, but pasta came out instead. Same thing.
We transition back to Optimus in the middle of getting his ass kicked still, and he grabs onto Megatron's waist, which they both fly up here, and I thought that Megatron was about to get fucking super seismic toss pile driven.
Charizard!
Like Charizard. But Megatron uses a big reflector beam to get Optimus off, and I would hope that he shouted Flash Beam in the process.
Probably. Joe!
Yeah.
Optimus doesn't know how to fly.
No, I think that Megatron was flying, but Optimus was just staying on him, maybe?
I will agree with that, purely for my own peace of mind.
He then uses a sound-based move, which I thought was Frenzy's deal, I guess, but...
Thundercracker.
Yeah, exposition commentator Starscream mentions that Reflector and Thundercracker must be so proud, or at least their chips must be, about the way Megatron's using their powers.
Thanks again, commentator Starscream.
You were good, Optimus Prime, but not good enough to fight Megatron! Pew!
So this fight's over.
Yeah, the end of segment 2 as Optimus takes a laser blast directly to the dome. And as we start segment 3, Megatron is, of course, claiming victory, as he is one to do. And the humans all kind of run down what looks like a cliff face, all very casually.
I don't want to make a thing out of this, but the precision and...
Kristen Sparklug's very good at navigating a wheelchair. Don't worry about it.
He did such a good job. Chip didn't get bumped around at all.
Optimus is barely functional here, blaming himself for underestimating Megatron. Again, I didn't realize he had so many powers.
Why doesn't he take his Messiah complex and shove it up his fucking ass?
Ironhide is pissed here, Kristen. He is gonna knock out these Decepticons. Knock them, boom, pow, straight back to Cybertron.
Optimus says, well, no, due to Cybertronian law, actually, we did lose, so... Oh, and he looks over and he's like, okay, we don't actually have a way to leave her, so we're gonna have to start figuring that out now.
Optimus struggles to transform here, and good friend Huffer comes over and is just like, I'll tow your trailer, Optimus. Don't worry.
This is one of the only times I recall seeing the Autobots being nice to each other. Is that weird?
I was gonna say it's one of the only times I think we've seen Huffer transform.
I basically forgot who he was, but they said his name, so I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Autobots, roll out. Perhaps for the last time.
The Autobots are still a thing, unless he's saying that they're going to go back to the art and do some Jonestown.
The Decepticons all follow here to make sure Optimus keeps his word, and we transition
get closer to Teletran.
We transition once again to the Constructicons, still fucking around in a cave under the Ark. What are they waiting for?
You think, one of them is checking his watch?
Mixmaster is tasked with getting them up through the top of the cave, and he rambles a bit before just going, oh, I'll mix some of the stronger acids, which sounds like
definitely one of the parts I couldn't hear, and I was like, I don't care what's going on.
He just says, he names out real acids, real chemical compositions of real acids, but right. I didn't care to write them down, and I was just mad because some of the stronger acids to burn through the floor. What a good shit, doofus.
Just bust a hole through it.
Teletran finally starts sending a signal to the Dinobots, who are standing 3 feet away from it.
So here is the really fun part of this episode for me, Joe.
Yes.
When the Constructicons got in there, and they were like, oh shit, there's people already here. I stared at the Dinobots, up until the moment they turned into dinosaurs. And I was like, who the fuck are these people? I was like, what are these weird gray and yellow Transformers?
Kristen, you forgot all of what the Dinobots looked like.
I forgot what colors they were.
I gave you a Grimlock toy.
He's not those colors.
He's definitely gray.
Yes. But yeah, I was like, alright, just gonna wait and see, let my brain catch up. And eventually I saw a dinosaur, and I was like, it's you.
Grimlock was talking. Maybe there was vacuum in the way.
I think the vacuuming was happening at that point.
So there's a big laser battle inside the Ark here, blowing a giant hole in the side of the volcano.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sludge notes that he's never seen these Decepticons before, but Kristen, can you really trust Sludge's memory?
Doesn't matter. Snarl's like, we're never gonna see him again, because we're gonna murder them.
We're gonna blow them the fuck up.
We're just gonna explode these guys. Not a problem.
And he fires some energy beams from his sword, Zelda style.
He had full heart.
So the Dinobots all transform, and it took you until
Joe, did you know those were the Dinobots?
Sludge stamps one of his feeties on the ground to create a ring of sunken earth around the Constructicons here, and
Cool.
Slag uses some fire to trap them in there.
So I guess, like, the jury's still out on if fire really does anything to Transformers.
I mean, lava doesn't, so God knows.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
I mean, Kristen, Transformer fire is probably a lot hotter than lava.
Cybertronian fire?
Yes.
Robot fire.
Robot fire.
That's my favorite band.
The Constructicons realize here, Kristen, okay, they've got the heavy artillery, we've got the heavier artillery.
Heavy Metal War.
Heavy Metal War. They transform into Devastator here, which, Kristen, I noted is very Japanese, because first they go Phase 1, which is them transforming into all of the vehicles, and then Phase 2, which is them actually transforming into Devastator.
For Decepticons, they have some pretty choice coordination skills. They've done some trust exercises together.
Apparently, this is one of the only times in the series that Devastator transforms correctly, where all of the pieces are where they need to be.
I read some stuff about that, too.
Prepare to meet your doom. Nothing can withstand the might of...
Normally this is where we would do a transition noise, but there's not one.
Interestingly, there is a hard cut here, yes.
We're not interested in whatever this new big guy's doing.
All of the humans are hanging out inside Bumblebee, and for the third time this episode, human perception triumphs as Spike is like, what's that giant green robot?
So it's interesting that you would mention Bumblebee here, because I feel like this is the part where there is like kind of a low shot of all the humans, and there's an insane amount of detail on their teeth.
I did not notice, Kristen. Maybe Bumblebee has a special windshield that really, really lets you see the teeth.
Shines up their teeth for them. Put some LEDs in there.
Also, I noted that Spike probably noticed what Devastator was before the Dinobots did.
They still haven't quite figured it out.
And finally, Kristen, the Dinobots are met with a bit of resistance here as they get smacked around.
Yeah, lest we forget they are horrible murder monsters.
Ironhide is even like, look, it's our Dino buddies, and they're fighting somebody. We gotta go help them.
Optimus is like, yeah, right.
Still sour after War of the Dinobots, after that whole meteor debacle. It's like, you think I'm gonna help that motherfucker? We're gonna leave. We're not even gonna tell him we're leaving.
Joe, we are at the end of the first season of Transformers. When we started this, perhaps the biggest surprise is how much of a goddamn diva Optimus Prime is. God, he is truly the Jericho Benton.
Is this the ultimate where he is such a fucking stickler for the rules that he won't help what is clearly an Autobot and Decepticon battle going on?
Would it kill you to help your friends?
They all sort of drive past, and we get a transition to inside the Ark here. We get a weird thing, Kristen, where Ironhide punches at nothing and goes, oh, sorry about that, to start the scene with no explanation as to...
Is he, like, mad?
Apparently, again, we get the result of cut dialogue, but Kristen, I can't think of a time in Gem, maybe because Gem didn't have so many quick transitions to where there was, like, an easy time. I can't think of a time where something just happened and we had no idea why it was happening.
I guess to Gem's credit, that is true. The closest I can think of is with Glitter and Gold, how just they gaslight us about already understanding what the plot is.
I was going to say about Glitter and Gold were how rapid fire the cuts were for, like, reaction and things like that, but...
There's that, too. That whole episode is a little bit of a heavy metal war.
At least there's context there for why Jericho Benton might be angry about Rio talking about Gem. Here, it's just Ironhide punches nothing and goes, sorry about that, as the frame is already moving, like, he's not done speaking, and he is out of frame.
Just an accident. He bumped into the wall with his hand. It was just out. I don't know. Maybe he was going to grab something, knocked his hand on the inside of the fridge, spilled the milk. Sorry about that.
Wheeljack specifically says before they leave the battle that they need to, like, ask Teletran 1 to diagnose Optimus's shit. Like, the problems with him.
Weird, I feel like they're doing this kind of backwardsy.
And Optimus, so after we pan away from Ironhide punching at nothing, Optimus is fine now. He's already fixed. And the if they consulted Teletran 1 for this, they did not ask Teletran 1, hey, did Megatron cheat?
I thought Optimus was just laying there, like, already cozy snug inside of his depression hole, saying, oh, woe was me. You know, let's not even check. I lost. Cybertronian law.
But you know who did check, Kristen?
Fucking our kid genius, Chip Chase.
Super Bay Chip Chase.
What's that shirt made of? Boyfriend material, Chip Chase.
Megatron definitely cheated.
Weird. Didn't see that coming.
Megatron's big plan is revealed here, and all of the Autobots still have to turn to Optimus to see if he's
very conveniently right there for them to be like, you fucking cheated, and he's like, ugh.
What I love, Kristen, though, is they still have to consult Optimus, as if there's a possibility that he's so prideful that even though he lost to a cheater, that they're still gonna leave.
I wonder if that was, like, literally for, like, legal consultation. Like, you're the one who understands so much about Cybertronian law, Optimus. Legally, can we kick his ass?
The battle is void, Kristen. The Autobots are here to stay, which means, Autobots, the time has come to fight back!
So they just systematically, completely wreck the Decepticons from here on out.
So we go back to the Decepticons here, Kristen. They're all just kind of hanging out watching Devastator kick the Dinobots' asses.
They're loving it.
Devastator goes with the old, nothing defeats the Devastator. Nothing!
I want to like Devastator, but I feel like this episode hasn't given me much to work with.
He's a lot cooler when he has a visor instead of his stupid beady red eyes.
That's his visage is not really my issue at this point in time, but I'll take your word for it.
So, Kristen, we hear a synergy sound as a big scary robot shows up, intimidating the Decepticons, even calling Devastator Little One in the process. And I wrote in my notes here, which you lamented just a moment ago. Mm-hmm. I hope Kristen thinks this is Skyfire for some reason.
So I'll tell you the nonsense that my brain spat out.
Yes.
And it was, Skyfire sounds different.
Did you believe, Kristen, that Skyfire was larger than Devastator?
Joe, could you fucking blame me if I did?
Optimus then shoots Devastator in the dick from the shadows, which causes, apparently is his weak point, because he turns into all of the Constructicons again.
It just resets him.
The Dinobots start fighting back, which drives the Constructicons over the edge into a lava pit.
We find out that big old buddy was a hologram.
It's an illusion! It's not real!
They just showed Devastator a big thing to distract him for 2 seconds.
But we are, declares Optimus, as the Autobot bullies start firing on the Decepticons that they totally outnumber. Kristen, keep in mind, most of the Decepticons completely powerless other than Megatron.
Now, I don't want to pull out any strong words here, but does this fit, like, the United Nations definition of a genocide?
Ooh, that's a good question, Kristen.
Well, Megatron survives, and there's a lot more seasons of this, so...
Ooh, man, the Autobots tried for attempted genocide in Season 2, the season-long arc.
Oof, that's pretty rough.
I know they're bad guys, but they're people, too.
Thank God Starscream knows so much about bird law.
So everybody falls into the lava except Megatron here, and Optimus says, just so we can get the last word in on this, that you're not going to have to fight all the Autobots by yourself, Megatron. Just me, before he fires and knocks him backward into the lava.
Here's an observation. The lava looks a little bit like soup a few times.
Ooh, tasty.
Delicious.
A nice tomato soup with cheese in it.
Yep, a little pizza soup there. So we get to see everyone sink to their death in the lava, so that's pretty cool.
It is ended.
So it's time for Pessimist Spike now.
Whoa, Dad's been rubbing off on him.
For real, ew.
That sounded bad coming out of my mouth, too. Ew.
That was involuntary. Spike says, is it really over? Have we seen the end of this war?
In this vast universe, is anything truly forever?
He was fucking the one who said it was over.
Wax's poet warrior Optimus Prime.
He just said it was over. It's like he realized he said something fucking stupid and was like, In retrospect, maybe not.
And then they waste absolutely no time, Kristen, as Megatron pops his head out of the lava and declares, "We shall rise again," which is better than saying that he would be avenged.
Yes, it makes more sense. So, and it, as far as I know, happens.
And Kristen, that was Heavy Metal War. I wrote here that it's an episode without too much to complain about.
Yeah, you maybe. I don't know what you were thinking when you jotted that down.
We barely even touched on how bad Megatron's plan was to get rid of to remove Teletran 1 from the equation, because it was I don't want to say it was the worst part. I was entertained enough, I think, though, that I could overlook a lot of the problems in the episode.
Again, it's one of the issues, I suppose, is that we think the plan's going to be executed a certain way on a certain timeline. It doesn't happen. And then it's like, okay, well, if they did get the Constructicons there to destroy Teletran, isn't that stupid? Because they'll come back and be like, wait a minute, our computer is broken. Hey, Megatron, what do you have to say about this? Why is there a hole in our floor that leads all the way back to the temporary Decepticon base? It's just a lot of small things that make a big problem.
Ill-conceived, I would say.
I agree. But hey, at least the Decepticons are being creative.
Maybe, Kristen, just maybe, this episode had nothing to do with a dam. It had nothing to do with an oil tanker or refinery. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with some sort of weapon. It was just Transformers beating the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, they're finding their sea legs, except their sea legs are just legs that don't have anything to do with dams.
They're robot fight legs.
Yeah, which are just their normal legs.
Now's the point in the evening where we'll list off all of the fun contact things, where you can find us. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at cwtapod. Follow me at Octopus, which is AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me at FunnyGirlTM, like trademark.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, even on the YouTube. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. You can also drop us a line at cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us all about the cool powers you get from your friends, or how to accurately use a hologram plan to fool your enemies.
I feel like we've asked that before. And you can also check out my new podcast solo project, ASMR Relationships, the podcast equivalent of listening to gossip that has nothing to do with you. You can find a link to it in the episode notes. Follow it on Twitter at Reddit Gossip. It's on hiatus at the moment, but I would appreciate it if you gave it a listen. Madeline keeps sending me our relationships posts and telling me that I need to read them in an Italian accent into a microphone.
Next time, Kristen, will be our season end extravaganza. Like the Kim Takibers of old, we are going to go over the season that was. There will be a bit of a break in between because we got some stuff in the chamber in terms of a soiree, some other stuff that we're going to be doing. So, of course, if you'd wish to participate in this wonderful episode, send your favorite, least favorite, everything you love and hate about Season 1 of Transformers to cwtapod@gmail.com, or, of course, cwtapod on Twitter. We'll be recording probably right around the end of the year, so send your submissions.
In the meantime, if you have, like, Starscream/Reader fanfiction that you want to send to me, I welcome that as well.
For the Can We Talk About podcast, my name is Joe.
I'm Kristen.
And join us next time for a look back at big dumb robots doing big dumb fights.
Joe, what's in the mail? What's it called? What's the episode called?
The Chip Tacuber.
Oh, hell yeah.